Thank you once again, everyone, for staying. That some of you have been here, what is that, 9 hours now? So thank you so much. 12 hours, my God, to himmel. That's incredible. And this one, as you can see, there's a lot of serious stuff going on here. I mean, I didn't stay to watch it because I can't bear to listen to my own voice, but as you were watching it, I was thinking what you were seeing, and you're seeing things like Come and See, that extraordinary film where the boy and girl are use that phrase, cursing through sludge, and you were seeing the wonders of Japanese documentary of the 70s, isn't that? I mean, people talk so much about documentary, the golden age of documentary in the 60s is France or America, but look at that stuff, look at Tsuchimoto, there's Ogawa, which we didn't deal with here, but look at Harakazio, the Emperor's Naked Army Marches On. Isn't that astonishing? So I think this is, I mean, it's a great age for cinema. So, as usual, any comments or questions? Or hi.
I was here on Monday.
I know you were. Your name's Mary, is that?
That's right. And then I had to
Where have you been since Monday?
Well, I had to miss Tuesday because I was going with a friend and I've got the tickets.
Okay.
And yesterday there was something too. And I'm back today.
We can see that, Mary.
And therefore I feel even more the need of access. Now, how are we going to get access to your series?
Yes.
I mean, it's like my Encyclopedia Britannica. I love it much more than Google. And I want to have your film as a reference book.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
I can look things up.
Thank you very much. This is the first audience. You are the first people in the world who have seen this film. So it's very, very new. You can see it's you know, I'm cringing at the little mistakes. I can see in here spelling mistakes and things like that. But that's why, because it's so new. So we're literally, the buyers haven't seen it yet. The people who will buy it, who will put it on DVD, on TV, and in cinemas like this one, haven't really seen it yet. So it's early days. My producer John Archer and I we are talking each day to people who might want to buy it. We're talking to someone this afternoon, etc. So fingers crossed, it'll definitely come out in DVD. It'll make a lovely Christmas present for you, and for hopefully that's what'll happen. But we don't know. You know, it's not up to us. We want it. Hi, Alison.
Going back to the first episode in today, it's hard for me to imagine a first kung fu film when you talk about Mr. Kane. Is he the director?
Of which one?
The first kung fu.
Oh, A Touch of Zen. Yeah, King Hu. Yeah, King Hu. Yeah.
What are the cultural circumstances that produced that first?
Good, very good question. He was brilliant. He edited, cut, designed, directed, and everything like that. The cultural circumstances are the strong influence of Shanghai Peking opera, as it was called then, where they would hide trampolines on the stage. So the actors would come along and go burdoing, 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 and so they built that and they put them on wires. And so the idea of flying in cinema came from the Peking opera. But in addition to that, King Hu was a philosopher and a Buddhist, and so he wanted to start his film realistically. And then it changed registers. It gets more transcendental. Hence that incredible scene of the flying Buddhas and the twinkling light. This is the film you're referring to, isn't it? Yeah. And so he was exceptionally interesting, almost like King Vidor in American cinema. There's something like the equivalent, but he was hoovering up loads and loads of influences. And then, of course, it's impossible to imagine the films of Ang Lee without King Hu. That film, Touch of Zen, one of the most influential ever made. Not necessarily here in the Anglo or Franco world, but in Asia, yes. Yeah, here and then here.
Okay, she mentioned the first Kung Fu movie, but Red Heroin was far older than that movie, wasn't it? Like
yes, this wasn't the first one. This was just the. Seldom in this whole story of film do I go for the first, unless it captures the moment and unless it is the most innovative. So there are lots of Kung Fu films before it, certainly, like way back, and there were Kung Fu and other art forms as well, as you know, so it wasn't in any way the first. Now, and then we did Kung Fu today, and we did Bruce Lee today, didn't we?
Yes.
We've done all that. And then there's some more coming tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes.
Hello again.
Hi, David.
And because this is in early screenings, and we don't want to wait for the second edition for your corrections to come out, maybe we should actually provide a list of things like My Bloody Valentine, the credit on the screen.
My Beautiful Laundrette. It said, By Beautiful Laundrette.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
That's right.
Yes, lots of, yeah, there are lots of, we'll catch all these things. We rushed so hard, we were working late into the night to get these screenings ready, hence these little blips.
That one you do.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hi, this is my first day actually, sadly. I teach film at the College of Toronto, and so I'm extremely excited by the possibility of this becoming available as an educational tool.
Sure.
I think it would have a tremendous market. I'm fascinated by your choices. It's a remarkable piece. But I'm just curious, you have the brackets like truth to power in the last bit of the 80s. And I found myself sort of trying to anticipate where you were going,
yes, I know.
which is not appropriate necessarily, but I found myself wondering about the tail end of the 80s and the beginning of the independent film movement,
Yes.
so sexualizing videotape, the beginning of, and that would have, it occurred to me that would be a kind of filmmaking, as filmmaking's truth to power.
Yes.
Moving against the studio system, moving against sort of the established sort of modes of media. And I'm just was curious if you had considered that as part of this, or is it part of the next one tomorrow, or
for me, the crucial filmmakers here were John Sayles and Maggie Renzi, as you can see,
Yes.
and they were the kind of,
Yeah.
they were the kind of godfather and godmother of this, you know. And because we had so little time, I decided to deal with them instead, you know. And then they set a tone, and out of this comes all that great indie stuff and the slacker movement and things like that. Tomorrow we do look at American cinema quite a lot, but by that stage we're moving on to this question I mentioned at the end about reality losing its realness. So we're getting into the postmodernism. So when we next go to American cinema, we've got the Coen brothers, Gus Van Sant, who's brilliant. Gus Van Sant tomorrow is brilliant, not only in his own work, but in the influence of Chantal Akerman and Béla Tarr and Yasujiro Ozu. So all that's coming, but I don't go any further into the indie just do it movement, unfortunately. As you can, I'm sure those of you who are here, you can see that although American cinema is brilliant, I was determined to decenter it slightly and not let it overpower this story, because it shouldn't overpower the story.
Let me just add to one thing I so appreciated about this film is the way in which you're showing influences. I think that's a tremendous gift to us in the project.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to find that.
Yeah.
And to see it visually, to be able to see
Yes.
the cinematic influence. That is like really brilliant.
Isn't that crucial? Like Terence Davis, and I mean, some of you have seen Deep Blue Sea that's here. That idea that he uses intolerance. Now, way back, I was going to say a week ago, but on Monday we looked at intolerance. We looked at that shot. I'd already cut that bit before I went and interviewed Terry Davis, and he talks about the same shot. And to show his forward tracking and then the intolerant D.W. Griffith, it's just it's so exciting for me as a filmmaker to be able to cut those two things together. So I really appreciate your comments.
We've come back a number of times to Triumph of the Will.
Yes.
You called her today, called in your style misguided, I think?
Yes, yes.
I was curious about your opinion. Do you see her as an ambitious artist or as an unrepentant Nazi?
I'll give you my brief summary of what I think of Riefenstahl. I think what concerns me so much, and I used to talk to her on the phone, I knew her vaguely, and what concerns me so much about Riefenstahl is she took this style, which is classicizing, eroticizing style of filmmaking, which she used during the Nazi period, filming all these sports guys and everything like that, and then after the Holocaust, after the absolute crisis and breakdown and whole questions of humanity, her style doesn't change. Modernism comes along, you know, the divided self comes along, existentialism comes along, but look at her late pictures of the Nuba tribe. They're exactly the same style, the exact same form, classicizing, eroticizing again. So I think that there's an incredible lack of curiosity about form or formal change in her work. There's all the other stuff, of course, like the famous Tiefland film, where she actually used people from a concentration camp as extras, one of the great obscenities in film history. But her form doesn't change, and that's what, in the end, that's what's the shock to me, that she had such a lack of curiosity about that. She was hanging out with artists. She had all this stuff was at her fingertips, and she didn't absorb it in any way. Astonishing. One more question. Okay. Any more comments or thoughts? Frank?
I guess it sort of has to do with truth in film. John Sayles, when he said, director said, you should have seen my cut.
Yes.
That goes back to the Peter Weir film Picnic at Hanging Rock, where he said here was the director's ending and here's
Yes.
the editor's ending.
Yes, yes.
I mean, to me, that's just outrageous. So whose film are we looking at when, you know, an editor can actually trump a director?
No, the director was happy with the editor's ending of the
Oh.
Picnic at Hanging Rock. He had a more conventional ending, and so he was happy with that step ending.
Okay, but the editor chose it, or
Yeah, the editor had a
suggested
better
it?
idea. And you know what it's like in the edit suite? You're sitting there and you think, who's got the
Oh,
best
I see.
idea? How can we do this? This isn't quite working. And somebody else comes in, maybe it's your producer comes in, who knows? But it's whoever has the best idea. But Sales's point is so pertinent there, isn't it? You know, the
Well,
closer
yeah.
you get to the centre of power, the bigger your budget, the more you've got these regrets about what could have been. You sort of dream a film that doesn't happen.
Well, there's the idea that who gets the final cut,
Yeah,
and a lot of directors don't.
yeah, particularly in
In
North
Hollywood.
America, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's also, you look at the DVDs and the videos now, you have the original cut, the director's cut.
Absolutely,
This person's
all the
cut.
versions. Yeah, yeah. The director's cut of this will be twice as long. I think we're going to have to finish there. Please come tomorrow. And tomorrow, what I'd love to do, if you're into, is all of you who've been coming the whole long. Let's take a photo of all of us together.